During the Spring Security Basics chapter, we're going to take a look at some of the out-of-the-box functionality of Spring Security. This is a very hands-on chapter. However, we're not going to be doing a lot of customizations to the Spring Security framework. So we're not going to be adding in, our own authentication providers or connecting to something like an LDAP. But what we are going to do is use some of the fundamental configurations in the framework to better secure our web application. And we're going to address some of the common concerns that we see when securing a web application. So let's take a look at our chapter objectives. First, we will be configuring Spring Security using XML. So we're going to be making some changes to our web.xml file, as well as establishing a Spring Bean configuration file, which will contain the majority of our Spring Security configuration. And within that configuration, we're going to use a lot of the features that you can use right out of the box with Spring Security without providing custom implementations of the different Spring Security components. So we're going to be looking at pretty basic configurations, but they really will provide a lot of rich security features to our web application. Some of the security features provided by this out-of-the-box configuration are access control. So we're going to take a look at how we can selectively grant access to resources based upon user roles and authorities. We're also going to see how we can take some of that authentication information and that information about our principal and actually make decisions about how to conditionally render content that we display to the user. Another thing that we'll take a look at during this chapter is several different types of authentication. Within Spring Security, there is the option to have the framework build out your login page and handle authentication via a DAO authentication provider. There's also the option to use HTTP Basic as a way to gather the user's credentials. And then you can also build out your own custom form and configure that within your security configuration. Finally, we will look at how we can log a user out of our web application and how that configuration takes place within our Spring Security configuration files. So this is going to be a great hands-on chapter that's really going to lay the groundwork for us to move into a more in-depth discussion of the components that make up the Spring Security framework and how we modify them in order to fit our custom application needs.